Welcome to It's the Groove, the podcast that takes you under the cellophane wrapper to uncover the hidden connections in the music we love. Hi, I'm Dave, the co-host, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host and CEO, Kelly, from Worldwide It's the Groove headquarters in Toronto. Today on It's the Groove, we're going to have a program for you that features some artists that are perhaps a little bit less well known. Our last episodes featured the King of Pop and the Queen of Pop, that being, of course, Michael Jackson and Madonna. And while both of those artists certainly deserve their attention from our podcast, it deviates a little bit from our core of focusing on some of the hidden connections. In other words, the less well-known artists or the less well-known songs by well-known artists. At any rate, for today's session, we've kind of titled this Bands That Should Have Been Bigger. And Kelly, what does that mean to you?
It means that we're basing this on North America. They've had one or two hits in North America, and because their catalog is so strong, they deserve to have more hits, and unfortunately, they did not.
So, what would you suggest to be the first artist that we listen to?
We're going to listen to Scritti Politti.
Ah, yes, of course, Scritti Politti. I remember that from our How Our Co-Hosts Met Each Other episode. All right, so do you want to nominate a song that you want to play?
We're going to listen to The Word Girl first.
All right, here we go. All righty. What do you know about that one?
It was Scritti's highest charting song in the UK. It reached number 6. And Spin magazine described it as a bubbling reggae ditty with a sophistication that surpasses even Brian Ferry. Green wrote this song to explore the word girl. It's commonly used in pop music, and he questions its meaning and points out how it has lost significance in offering a deeper look at pop culture. I remember I first heard this song on a show called Rock Over London. This show came on every Wednesday night on WXRT in Chicago. And I'm curious to know find out if any of our listeners also listen to that show. I will put a link in the description of this YouTube video so you can learn more about Rock Over London.
And you know, it's interesting because I never, ever, ever heard that song until you admonished me to go back and listen to the album of Cupid and Psyche 85, which I did diligently. as a good intern.
Right.
And so, yeah, so there it was, a number hit in the UK, and it wasn't even on my radar screen.
Yeah. Even though it did reach number 6 in the UK, it's, as people know, it's not my favorite song from Cupid and Psyche 85. But
Right.
and I'm shocked that it did not do anything in North America at all.
And by the way, when we're sharing these songs, let us be clear that for each of these artists, we could share a whole bunch of other ones. And these aren't maybe even our favorite from these artists, but they're ones that we think deserve some attention. And hopefully, our hope is that our listeners might get inspired to go back and listen to these albums, listen to these artists, and uncover their own hidden gems. So what's next?
What's next is off, I believe, your favorite Scritti album, Provision, and it's called Boom, There She Was.
Here we go. So I'm chair dancing. I don't know about you. What can you tell us about Boom?
Well, I remember being so excited to see the video because it had been a few years since Scritti had released anything. And I was kind of underwhelmed by it. And I dismissed that song and Provision because it basically was not Cupid and Psyche 85 2.0. I will tell you that Roger Troutman used a talk box on this track. So,
oh, cool. As listeners may remember from one of our earlier episodes, when Kelly mentioned Scritti to me, I said, Perfect Way. That is the only song that I knew. And she said, oh, there's so much more than Perfect Way. You got to go back and listen to Cupid and Psyche 85 and Anemone and Bonamy. And I actually went and I did listen to Cupid and Psyche 85, but then I went chronologically, and of course Provision is the next album chronologically, and Boom is the first track on that. And they hit maybe the fourth bar, and I was hooked, and I'm like, this is a great song. And actually the rest of the album I think is no skip, no skip worthy. I mean, you just keep listening. It's like one excellent song after another. So I'd heartily endorse our listeners to go back and check that out. So now, Kelly, tell us about our next one.
Next one is from Anemone and Bonamy, and it's called Tinseltown to the Boogie Down.
Time keeps slipping, keep slipping. My timing is rare. Take time to prepare. No time for fear. Many times times, I said it this year. At what time y'all gonna realize the time is near? Call the time out, Scritti Politti. Major climbed out the cracks of the streets. Waste no time on beats. Most definitely the rap chief. The new release, time to make cream, time to take a piece, and at the same time to build. Time is realer. I swear I bring the heat, the tracks, and Val Kilmer. You know the time waits for no man. In time you'll see that you wasting all your time while you watch TV. And yo, Scritti, I'm on it like walls to graffiti. From nice sticks to plungers to NYPD. From Lucille to BB King, you see me rhyme. Just stay away from drama if it's wasting your time. Time tables keep turning. You got the both ends burning up. Time keeps slipping. Timetables keep turning. You got the both ends burning up. Time keeps slipping. Change their faces. Yeah, from Boogie down into the town, I had them all getting down. My bag of flames got exotic names, I get around. How I'm living now, well, that's a whole lot different now from where I'm sitting at. Got a whole clearer vision now. I played the tables hard, wild cards I was flipping now.
Wow, that one's different.
Yeah, Green, he disappeared during much of the 90s and was spent a lot of time in a cabin in Wales and listened to a lot of hip hop. So Enemy and Bonamy basically blends grunge and hip hop. I had no idea about this album. I was listening to a lot of 80s stuff at the beginning of the pandemic because, you know, a lot of us were reaching out for nostalgia, you know, making us feel more comfortable. We were reaching back to when times were simpler. And so we were watching a lot of old TV and listening to a lot of old music. And yeah, I really like this album. I happened to be listening to Cupid and Psyche on YouTube, and I looked on the other side, and there was Tinseltown to the Boogie Down, and I'm just like, I never heard of that, and I gave it a listen.
It's interesting sometimes, you know, we think we know artists or bands, and we think we're big fans, and then all of a sudden there's something that comes across that just, you know, is like, wait a minute, I didn't know that. I think that's the interesting thing. That's what is a big deal for me lately, and I think an inspiration for It's the Groove for me personally is just the continual accretion of knowledge about the music that we love. So that's interesting. That now, so you weren't familiar with Enemy and Bonamy when it was first released, then, right?
It released in 1999, and I hadn't heard anything about it. And I'm curious to know, did other listeners go down rabbit holes during the pandemic like I did with Scritti Politti? I'm going to link an article about that, how we were reaching back for nostalgia during the pandemic. And I hope you read it and share your thoughts with us.
Yeah, please feel free to get in touch with us. You can email us on our website, info@itsthegroove.com, or you can also get in touch with us on X at It's the Groove Pod. So please give us some feedback and let us know. I know that you're talking about, you know, going back to nostalgia during the pandemic. I think I've been going back to nostalgia for a long time now. So yeah, that's a good thing for us, right?
Yeah.
So anything else you want to tell us about Scritti?
Oh, well, you know, that they did release another album in 2006 that I hadn't heard of either, that I discovered during the pandemic. Yeah, that's basically it. They do have at least 5 albums, and you should all give them a listen.
And
all
of
them
course,
sound different. No album sounds the same.
Yeah, that is interesting. We listened to 3 separate, completely separate sounds, very, very different. Which is interesting. And we're going to transition to another artist that's going to be even more different from the 3 that we listened to. So what do you want to tell us about Basia?
Oh, well, I remember listening to Basia a lot on the smooth jazz station in Chicago called WNUA. That's when I discovered her.
So, what do you want to listen to?
We're going to listen to New Day for You first.
Hello again, it's me. Your shoulders where I sit. The half nobody sees of a silent partnership. I am here, your helpless hand. I'm never far away. With you from where I stand, I'll be there if you need me. I am your helping hand. My words are so for the sake of love. It's gonna be a new day for you, a new day for you. The stars will play their part, the past is gonna lie. Have more faith in love, this is yet to
All righty, that was New Day for You. What do you want to tell us about this one?
Well, it was written by Basia, Danny Wright, and Peter Ross. The lyrics are from or were inspired by a birthday poem Peter Ross had written for Basia, and they later incorporated the lyrics into that track.
So, Basha is actually group. We oftentimes tend to relate it to the individual. I can't pronounce her last name.
I can't
Tretzaleska.
either.
I think I always look at the spelling of her last name, and I think we need to buy a vowel in here somewhere. But Basha, the woman, was born in Poland, emigrated to England, and in the early '80s, affiliated with a group called Matt Bianco. And my guess is, or my hope is, that we'll do some Matt Bianco music on It's the Groove down the road here a little bit. But as she broke away, she and Danny White broke away from Matt Bianco to form their own group and, in essence, go solo. Danny White is also joined in on some of these songs by his brother Peter White, who our jazz aficionados might recognize as being the jazz guitarist. So anything else on New Day for You? I remember that was probably the first Basha song I heard. And, you know, we always talk about the 3-song rule on albums. And this is a situation where I probably violated that. And I went out and I got this album, you know, just based on this song, because I was like, this is so cool. I just have to hear this. So...
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember I did buy the album. I don't know if I heard more from her before I bought it, but I know that she was in heavy rotation on WNUA.
Right. Yeah, and you know what? I grew up in the Philadelphia metro area, and so I was hearing, and I have to be honest, I don't remember the call sign of the jazz station, but I remember, yeah, the smooth jazz station was playing a lot of Basha. The other single off of that album was "Time and Tide." And
Yes.
So both those songs, I think, were on heavy rotation on the jazz stations. And like I said, I heard these songs and I'm like, I don't care. I'm just buying the album. So,
Right.
What's the next one?
Cruising for Bruising.
All righty.
come to is aching, but so is mine. So is mine. How can I tell you why? So long, so long, so long I've been thinking. Now I know I can live a life, can live a life. They say true love lasts forever. If we want it, never be waiting a second chance, baby. But now we need time, time to learn, time to understand where we went wrong. 'Cause life is so strong, we are losing, losing my baby. A second chance, baby. But now we need time, time to learn, time to understand where we went wrong. 'Cause life is so strong, we are losing, losing.
All right. Anything special that hits you on this one?
Oh, as well as my favorite track from London, Warsaw, and New York. It's one of Basia's biggest hits. It was written by Basia and Danny Wright and explores the themes of a breakup and suggests that the split might not be final.
All right. You know, one of the interesting things on these Basia songs is obviously she has a beautiful voice, but they use a lot of layered harmonies. And the interesting thing is, as other artists, I mean, I don't think Basia is unique this way, but they harmonize with themselves. So they overdub and record, you know, several different versions singing the different parts. But this obviously creates a problem for when they're touring. And so Basia, for her touring band, had to find a backing singer that would harmonize well with her voice. And, you know, she's got such a magnificent voice that's hard to do. So she ended up actually finding a pair of twins. And I've never seen Basia in concert, but that was one of the things I was really looking forward to, would be to see, you know, the backing singers and how that all came together. So that's pretty interesting. So for our third Basia song, what would you suggest?
Sweet. Oh, I don't know. What do you suggest?
Let's try Third Time Lucky.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Ah.
First one is a shock. Second helping, no good enough. That I'm lucky, and you alone. If you give any doubts, try once more. Maybe I was too impressed, he flattered, I was blushing. He found my joie de vivre so cute and rather touching. Himself so upwardly mobile, so cerebral, clever. Could I ever live up to his dreams? Would I like to play a part in his scheme? I don't think so. I got my plans and brave ambitions, knowing no bounds, no inhibitions. I'm aware there's a lesson in every fall. So next time I'll get this first one. It's a show, a second helping. Not good enough, but that I'm lucky, and you alone. If you give it another try one more time.
Okay, I'm going to fast forward to a particular part in this song that focuses on a piano solo. So hold on one second. Okay, so that was Danny White on the piano solo, and I just wanted to highlight that because, again, I think it's important for people to understand that it was really the combination of Basha and Danny White that creates the magic behind the music, so to speak. Any comments from you on this one?
This is the third album, and by this point, I'm just buying the album. I'm not waiting to hear three singles off of it. I saw her. I saw her in concert when she toured this for this album, and she
Oh,
also
see
had a
that
CD. What?
that's on my bucket list, and she was maybe an hour away. This is probably 6, 7, 8 years ago. But I was just coming back from a Steely Dan concert, and I couldn't do the back to backs, for that one. But yeah, that's Bosch is on my bucket list for a tour.
Yeah, she had a CD signing at Rose Records on Wabash in downtown Chicago, and the line was just so long. I couldn't stay and meet her, and I had to get back to work. So, but I did. Luckily, I did get to see her in concert.
So, what year would that have been roughly?
I think it was 94.
94. Yeah. Wow. That must have been exciting to see that. That, like I said, that's certainly on my bucket list. And I know you've had some close encounters with band people. I've never, but that would be a dream to have her sign a CD and get to chat for a minute with her. So
Yeah.
great. Okay, so do you want to introduce our next artist?
I believe it's Oleta Adams.
Yeah. And for this, we're actually going to play a Tears for Fears song. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut it a little bit here and play two different parts of this song. Here we go. It's called Bad Man's Song from Tears for Fears.
Shine on the mind. That's where the chips on pieces of a broken man. Together again. I decided the name I trust. Put your head in the sand, it don't turn to dust. What's your problem? What's your girl? Wanna make the night worse. In my head, there is a mirror. When I went back, I made it wrong. All the saints stand up quick to judge me. Oh, for that man, this is the black man's song.
All righty. So you're a Tears for Fears fan, right?
Yes, and I went to see them live in 2023, and they played that song.
They played that song. I think you even sent me a video clip of that or
Yep, I
part of
did.
it, which, yeah. So the interesting backstory here is that Oleta, who the artist that we're featuring, was born she's the daughter of a pastor, and she grew up listening to gospel music. And she moved to LA in the 70s and tried to cut a demo and was not approved. And because back then they were wanting disco, and she has more of a soulful sound. She moved to Kansas City, was singing in some local joint. It was actually located in the Hyatt Hotel in Kansas City, and Tears for Fears happened to be staying there during their world tour, and they had a stop in Kansas City, and they were staying there. And one night, the piano player, I think his name is Ian. Is it Ian Smith? Is that the keyboard guy?
In the 80s,
Yeah.
I think it's Stanley. Don't quote me on that.
Oh, Ian Stanley. Okay, you're right. Thank you. I knew it was Ian something. He was having dinner and he heard her, and so he said something to Roland and Kurt, the main guys in the band. And so the next night, the three of them were there. And according to Roland, he said, we've got this, huge band and all this sound system and whatever, and this woman just singing with a microphone has more soul than all of us combined. So they kind of made a mental note, but nothing happened for a couple years. This is like 1985. So when they were going to go into the studio to start recording their Seeds of Love album, which is my favorite, Tears for Fears, they called the Hyatt where they stayed, and they said, "Hey, by the way, back in 1985, you had this artist that was singing in the the club. Who was that?" And that's how they got in touch with her, and they invited her to join them for their Seeds of Love album. She did a duet with Roland on "Woman and Chains," and that became a big number for her and for them. And then of course she participates in this one. What I think is interesting is I told you I was going to break it up. I ended up getting so into the song I forgot to break it up, and I just played the whole thing. Sorry about that. She was also the keyboard person, so you heard her playing that keyboard solo at the beginning, acoustic piano solo, and then also the vocals. And what I thought was really cool about that is the way that she and Roland harmonize on the vocal part there. So that's pretty neat. Anything else on this song? Anything else on Tears for Fears?
No. We can move on to the next song.
Okay. Yeah. Next song is from Oleta's. Well, actually, this is not her first album. She did cut a couple albums in the early 80s, and they did nothing, unfortunately. But I think sometimes, Providence smiles on the prepared. And so, she was prepared and continued, honing her craft. And obviously, as a result of her success with Tears for Fears, she was offered a record deal with the same label that does Tears for Fears. And so this is from that. It was called the Circle of One album. The song's called "I've Got a Right."
what's on your mind. We're running out of time. I can tell from the look in your eyes, you're making decisions with me in mind. I've asked you this before, but it's hard to pin you down. With a chance to have everything and nothing, you've really put me in a bind. I got a right to know the truth. Will you be loving me tomorrow? Thinking plans to do. Will I be drowning in my sorrow? I really need to know the truth about my chances of living with you. I'm learning to live alone.
All righty, that is I've Got a Right from the Circle of One album. The interesting thing is I didn't really even play the number one hit from that album, which was Get Here. Get Here is a cover of a Brenda Russell number, and this album was introduced in 1989, but Get Here became really popular around the time of the Gulf War, especially with families that had loved ones deployed overseas. So that was that's kind of a neat song from that one. I also suggest that there's several others on here, including Rhythm of Life and the title track Circle of One. So hopefully you'll have some time to go back and listen to that particular album. That was produced by Roland Orzabal of Tears for Fears, and he also plays on that. And you know, as is always the case, one of the interesting things for an artist like Oleta, who was back in the 70s and early 80s, was struggling, the labels don't really give you a lot of support. But because Tears for Fears was a highly successful chart-topping act, they really had a lot of support, and they also put a lot of effort into crafting each song. And I think that's what Oleta benefited from on the recording, when she was part of the Seeds of Love album, that she got to see, the diligence that they use, the tools that they use, the time it took to really create a work of art like that album is. And so I'm sure that stood her in good stand as she was recording this particular album. Anything you want to throw in here, Kelly?
I do remember Rhythm of Life, that single, and you can hear Roland's influence on the songs from that album.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I think is really cool. They had a really good synergy, and both on the Tears for Fears stuff and also on Oleta's stuff. So that's kind of neat. Oleta also subsequent, or I should say after Circle of One, also created another album that was called Evolution. And then the next album was called Moving On. And that's the one that I want to share a song from. And hold on a second, just efforting that. Okay, this is called Never Knew Love, and it was the lead single from the Moving On album.
And I know the sun comes up before it goes down. I just can't explain it, baby, but I know it's honestly true. And I know your love is here for me. Another mystery, baby. I know it's plain to see, and it's clear to you, like the world turning around I can always count on you. I never knew love could feel this way before. You gave me joy, happiness, and so much more. I never knew love could feel this way before. I really thought I knew love. They say that love is everything. Before you came, really didn't prove it by me. I could change my view, baby, just believing in you. I've got this funny feeling way down inside. Loving you, boy, is always on my mind. You gave me joy. My heart is on rest, baby. I really thought I knew love.
All righty. That's Never Knew Love from Oleta Adams. On this particular one, she was not working with Roland, but she worked with a couple of producers who were working with artists like Randy Crawford and Anita Baker. So artists that were much more R&B tuned. And this album, Moving On, was actually nominated for the Best R&B Album Grammy Award. And like we said, the Never Knew Love single was the lead single off of that one. So anything else that you want to add on Oleta Adams?
No, just it seems like she has a lot of songs that we have missed, and I will definitely be checking her stuff out.
What's interesting is, as we wrap up this episode, that we kind of profiled three different artists. So we did Scritti Politti, and in Scritti's set, all three of them were very different sounding songs off of three different albums. We did Basia, and Basia obviously is much more of a smooth jazz with a Latin tinge to her music. And again, we did three separate albums for Basia, kind of spanning a number of years of her career. And then we did Oleta Adams, and we did, one song from her Tears for Fears side, another song produced by Roland, and then another much more R&B and soul oriented sound. So it's kind of interesting that we come up with this. We just kind of, figured out, well, here are three artists that we think, that we like this music. And yet there's a lot of people that when you mention these names, they're not that familiar with them. So that was kind of our thesis, is that we wanted to bring this music out to you. And by the way, this is only phase one. We have more to come in this same vein. So stay tuned to our channel, because there's a whole bunch of other artists just like this that have very, very groovy sounds, very smooth stuff that we really like, and it never quite hit the Richter scale, so to speak, on the music scene. But that's why we're here to help share this with you, and to learn from you as well. So as you listen to our music on our YouTube channel, and by the way, you can find us on YouTube at It's the Groove Podcast. So make sure to hit subscribe and like the videos, and also on our website, which, as I mentioned before, is itsthegroove.com. So you can drop us a line there at info@itsthegroove.com, or on X at It's the Groove Pod. And also, just want to put in another plug for our Groove Ambassador program that you're probably hearing about. So if you're going to be attending a concert and you think it's groove worthy, send us a note, and we will reply to you and let you know. And certainly if you want to share concert video or audio content, or anything of note from the concerts that you attend, would love to hear from you and give you some opportunity to share, because one of the things that we like best and that we really both enjoy is sharing the music that we love. So, Kelly, any parting thoughts?
No, just thank you for joining us, and just remember to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you see us.
Sounds great. And remember, it's not the beat, it's the groove. Thanks for listening.